good. Just waiting for race season.
Yeah, you and me both. I'm sure there's a lot of people antsy for the start of race season. It's been like we were blessed with such great weather through the month of April and later part of March, and now Mother Nature's like, yeah, nah, we'll just kind of make us wait a little bit longer. But you actually have gotten a little bit of racing under your belt already, haven't you, this year?
Yeah, we went to Watford like end of February, and yeah, that went pretty good for us. We wrecked a little bit of stuff, but we got it all fixed up and ready to go.
Nice. I'll ask you a little bit more about that in just a second. If you're watching anywhere in the audience, be sure to give a like to the video. And if you have a question for Dayton or myself, be sure to list it in the comments below. I see Jeremy Bloom is checking in once again. Hey, Jeremy from Wisconsin. So nice to have you join us for Wednesday Night Live. For Dayton, to get things started, help us to get to know you a little bit. How many of years have you been behind the wheel?
So I started in 2020, and I raced ever since. My dad raced from like I think he bought his first car like a month after I was born, so I was kind of born into racing, and I just loved it ever since. So yeah.
Nice. And have you just been racing the NX Legend from the start of your racing career up until this point?
Yeah, I kind of want to race a mod eventually, and hopefully this year I get to like not junk the car, and yeah,
Not junking the car is a very good first step. That's for sure. I'm sure with the legend car, especially with how like sensitive they are, especially if you make contact, I'm sure you kind of learn to kind of keep things clean, so to speak, while racing.
yeah,
Doesn't always happen that way, I'm sure.
yeah.
We got a couple of your legend buddies checking in. We got Noah Madler and Colin Compson saying hey.
Hey
I'm sure you,
guys.
sure you get to race side by side with them quite often. Are there any like friendly wagers or friendly bets that you have against any of your competitors?
Well, 2 years ago, me and Colin had this heat race win battle, and he won like 12 heat races, and I only got to like seven, so he kind of beat me on that.
Well, how did you do like a ratio of how many races you got in that year? Because I feel like Colin got probably got a lot more races in that year
Yeah,
too.
yeah, he probably got about 20 more nights than me, so
That'd be interesting to kind of look at that ratio and see how it would play out. But that's a nice little battle amongst you two. Like both of you guys are very competitive, and Noah and Gage as well. Just like there's a lot of good competition in the legends. What's it like racing against such a stout field every single night?
well, it can be challenging because I kind of get hard on myself when I don't do good. Last year was pretty hard on me because I was kind of struggling finding my way to the front and end and stuff. But if you keep digging, you'll eventually find speed, and I don't know, good runs will come if you stay motivated.
Yeah, would you say, especially over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of legends that have come out of the woodworks, both like younger drivers and veterans, especially. Was it tough to kind of like navigate? Okay, now we have like instead of like 15 to 20 cars, we have like 30 to 40 that are showing up. So it's like the mindset change of just trying to make the featured to start things off.
Yes. Well, the first 2 years I raced, it was more of just um, kind of keeping up with the pack. But by then, like my third year, that's when we started having B mains and stuff. So I was like, I felt like if I did make the main, it'd be a disappointment because I already had a couple years under my belt. So I don't know.
Yeah, because you normally race, or give us a rundown of where you would normally race on a regular weekend.
So usually Friday, Mandan, Saturday, Dickinson every other week, and then we didn't make it up to Jamestown that much last year, but we try. And then Underwood I want to run, and then Minot here and there.
So that's a good variety of tracks, and most of them are 3/8. Jamestown's probably the smallest of the four with a quarter mile, so plenty of room to race in the NX Legends. And so yeah, there's definitely style competition at all those places because like I said, the last few years there's been 30 to 40 legends on average at all of these racetracks. So it's just a feat in itself to almost make the A main on any given night. Looks like we got a
Yeah.
couple questions coming in. First one coming from Jeremy. He's asking you, how many flat tires did you have in the Legends? So I'm sure flat tires in Legends are kind of different than like in mods and stock cars.
Actually, there's a funny story to this. So in Dickinson, I've only had one flat tire, but in Dickinson, I had a flat tire, and my cousin actually was changing it, and I think I had or I popped a left front, so he went to go put the jack on the wrong side of the car, and he got yelled at and stuff. But yeah, I think I've only had one, but I don't know for sure.
Now, did he get yelled at by you or by someone else?
Someone else.
Because I could, like, I've listened to like onboards, like in like NASCAR or like sprint cars, and you kind of hear like sometimes you hear the driver like yelling through his helmet, and so I'm sure it would just sound muffled if you're trying to yell.
Yeah.
Colin is asking, what's been your most fun race that you haven't that you didn't win in your career? So throw out the feature wins that you do have. What's your favorite race up to this point?
Um, Probably Oktoberfest of 2021 because that's kind of because I struggled that whole year. That was like my second year, and I think I ran like fifth. That was probably my best race up to that point, so I was pretty proud of that.
Yeah, and especially at Dakota Speedway, always known for great competition there. And Oktoberfest usually brings everyone from across the state, and they come together for that race. And so, yeah, top five there is pretty awesome. Noah's
Yeah.
asking, what is your favorite racetrack?
Um, it's tough, but I'd probably have to go Dakota Speedway.
What makes it your favorite? What stands out about Dakota Speedway?
I don't know. They always put on a good show. It's always smooth and it's mostly two lanes of racing. So yeah,
Gotcha. With it being so wide, because like when the legends usually goes in the middle of the feature races, and usually like the track is pretty much wide now, so you have like a top groove and a low groove. Do you typically have a line that you gravitate towards at first?
uh, usually the bottom for legends because there's there's always like tack down there during that part of the night. So yeah, usually the bottom, especially last year. But the year before, I feel like the top was a little.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Dakota Speedway is. I mean, he may have froze on mine. Are you still there, Dayton?
Bit better.
Might have a little technical issue here. Just give us 1 second while I peruse the chat here. There you are. There you're back. Is that a little bit of a glitch there? We're all back now. Oh, Jeremy's asking what's my favorite track. Okay, so this is. I always gravitate to I-94 Speedway in Minnesota. It's a 3/8 and it's got a wall around it. Usually I don't prefer tracks that have walls all the way around it, but that track always races so nice, and it's never been like a single groove track when I've been there, and they always get a good car count, good competition there, and I've always enjoyed going there. And so they're scheduled to open this weekend. Might make it over there for a night if the weather holds off. And but yeah, I would say that one's probably top of my list. I gravitate to my home track of Nodak Speedway too. Just growing up there and getting to see that every single Sunday. That's a big track. Like you've raced Nodak Speedway too, haven't you, Dayton?
Yeah, I went there one time, like during the summer, but I didn't do the greatest.
It's a challenging place, and it's really big, especially for legends.
Yeah, it sure is.
Alrighty. I got the favorite track out of the way. So talk to us a little bit about Watford City and what that experience like. So for those that don't know, they actually had a race in Watford City. It was in an indoor arena, kind of the first time they might have had a race like this years past, but this is the first time they brought in dirt cars to this indoor facility. And so they had go karts, slingshots, and legends, and Dayton was the winner of that first race. So talk to us a little bit about that experience.
The track was kind of small, but you could still pass if you kind of just rolled the bottom. Um, I think they ran like 12 cars in the feature, so you were always like by a car. So yeah, it was kind of hectic a little bit, but it was still really fun. And it's racing during the winter, so you have nothing else to do.
Yeah, definitely something to keep you busy during the off season. Like on my World of Outlaws game, I'm not very good at those very small tracks like those 5th mile tracks. So are you even on the throttle when you're racing a track that small?
Actually, you're on it more than you think. Cause I was in first gear, and to like make the corner, you have to really like wheel spin it in, or you just like push up the track. So I was on it quite a bit.
Dang. Yeah, it's definitely different because I assume from the stands it's just like, well, they don't look like they're going fast on the straightaway, but I'm sure it's a lot of footwork and a lot of like seesawing at the wheel to get that thing to go forward.
Yeah, I know. A couple times I had my wheel like cranked all the way to the right before the corner.
Yeah, that was crazy to watch. Definitely, I believe Darn TV has that on their Facebook page. So if you haven't checked it out, race fans, like it was quite a show. It was very entertaining to watch, and congratulations once again to you, Dayton, for coming out on top with that. Colin's asking, do you have any
Thank you.
goals for this season?
I don't know. In the legend, I kind of just run around like top five Mandan. Dickinson maybe get a win. I don't know. And then in the mod in Dickinson, I just want to keep up and not wreck stuff.
Yeah, so you mentioned that before we even went live that you're going to try to test out the IMSA modified and get a few races under your belt. Have you driven the modified before this year?
Well, I took it down the road a couple times to get her hang of the clutch, but like Saturday, there's I'm testing in Dickinson, so we'll see how that goes.
And you just plan to race that in Dickinson to start things out before you kind of go elsewhere?
Yeah, mostly.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's gonna be awesome to see in a modify. That'll be a fun transition. I'm sure your dad's looking forward to it. Well, it's been a while since I've seen him behind the wheel. I think he's raced a couple times over the last couple of years. But did you have like when you were growing up before you got in a race car? Did you have like a specific job you had to do as part of his pit crew, so to speak?
Usually take or check tire pressure, fill gas, and that's about all he had me do. He didn't want me to wreck anything.
Just making sure don't mess anything up. That's probably the smart way to do it. Hey, Colton Labor checking in. Good to see you, Colton. He says that everyone's goal should be to catch the 77 Minion machine this year.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's fast.
Very fast, yeah. Preston's very tough to keep up with, and he had a stellar year last year. Jeremy's asking, do you have a favorite track food?
Um, that's tough. I don't know, probably a cheeseburger. That's about it. I don't really like to eat when I'm racing because I get like stomach aches or whatever.
Say, do you get nervous at all getting behind the wheel of a race car?
Yeah, like in staging especially, I get like butterflies and it sucks.
I'm sure it's frustrating, like using Dakota Speedway as an example. Like like the hobby stocks are just before, and sometimes they take a little while, and so that I'm sure that doesn't help the nerves at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite food. I don't know what mine would be. I'm like you. It's not that I don't get sick or anything eating during a race night. It's just I get so busy that I just don't put aside time to eat. That's usually the way it ends up playing out. Colin's asking, favorite drivers to race against. Do you have any favorites that you like to go side by side or race against?
Well, first off, it's definitely not Colin. Uh, um, uh, I like to race against all of them, I guess. Like, I don't really have anybody that I hate racing against. Just competition, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you guys are like in a 8 pack for like an entire race, and so you get used to racing around a lot of people for an entirety of a feature race. It's kind of crazy
Yeah.
to watch legend feature races, especially now that there's 30 plus of you. It's like you never know exactly who's going to come out on top and where everyone's going to end up because everyone's so that good. And so, while we got a second, I want to give you an opportunity to list off any person that's on your pit crew or any sponsors that help out your racing program.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank my dad. He does a lot for the car and for everything. He got me into racing. Gotta thank my mom for all her help. Um, Red's Inspection, Schmidt Transmission, Apex Wireline, E Services. Um, I don't know if I think I'm forgetting some, but they know who they are and they help a lot, especially because I'm like young and I can't really get a good job to pay for everything.
You still got a lot of years left in you, so don't worry. You'll get something to help out along the way. I do. I'm curious. So obviously, you mentioned that Watford City was one of the races you took in during the off season. What else keeps you busy besides racing? Do you have any school activities that you or sports that you're in?
I'm in basketball. I'm not really the greatest, but it's something to do like during the winter. So yeah.
Yeah, are you big in iRacing or anything like that to keep you busy behind the wheel?
Well, I had it, but I got rid of it because I just kept getting wrecked, so I got sick of it. But play like World of Outlaws a little bit. That's pretty much it.
That's a fair assessment. There is a couple like a little time that I was into iRacing. I don't play it anymore just because I don't have time. But yeah, you get into some of those lobbies and then you just end up getting wrecked, and then you get blamed for it with your iRating score or whatever it is, and it's just like, all right, what's the point of this if I'm just gonna get rammed into and it's not even my fault? So I can understand where
Yeah.
you're coming from with that. Lindsay Campbell check in. I believe she's the mother of the Campbell brothers, and she says her son's 11 and loves watching you. He's been in slingshots for 2 years, but will be racing legends this year. Do you have any advice for him?
Um, I don't know. I'm not really good with advice. I'm gonna just keep with it. Don't give up, even when times get tough.
Yeah, there's definitely some up and down days with racing. Unfortunately, we may have more bad days than good, but it makes the good days that much better. Jeremy was asking, what's your biggest check that you've got in victory lane? What's the biggest win that you've had, I guess?
Probably Wofford because I got like $1,200,
Oh,
and then
really?
yeah, and then the Night of the Legends I got like 500 or something. So those are probably biggest races.
Yeah, at first I was thinking it was going to be Night of Legends, but dang, that's a good payout for Watford City. That is awesome, man.
Yeah.
I think they're having that race again next year, so maybe that'll entice a few more drivers to show up. Well, you said that it was 12 cars in the feature, so I'm sure it's like high stakes to try to get in the show in itself.
Yeah, but I think next year when they put it on, they're gonna try to make the track wider, like for Legends. So it should be like easier to pass, and they can fit more cars on there.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense. Is there a track that you haven't been to yet that you'd like to race at some point in the near future? I think you're frozen again on my end.
What's your question?
Oh, I was asking if there was a track that you haven't raced at yet that you'd like to visit in the near future.
Probably Fargo. I'd really want to try there, or like Glendon maybe.
Both those tracks are pretty fun, especially for legends. I would recommend making a trip out east for sure. I'm sure Colin and Xander would love to have you over and see how you do.
Yeah.
Jim Heaton also checking in, saying he can't wait to watch you in the IMCA mod this year. So you got to fan out Wes, looking forward to seeing you in the IMCA Modified. Noah's asking if you're going to travel with them this year. So do you usually hitchhike with them if you travel other places?
No, well, um, usually, well, we follow them, I guess, but it's all depending on if my dad wants to go or not. So probably depending on my performance, I guess.
Makes sense. Do you? So does your dad do most of the work on the Legend, or does he have you doing having more responsibility maintaining and keeping up with the car?
Usually I do like usually I do most of it, but I have him help me on like hard stuff, like motor stuff. I have no clue about, so he does most of that. But like the maintenance, like changing gears, cleaning it, and like nut and bolt check and stuff like that, I do by myself.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, that's what I hear from a lot of folks is that usually like the end, like once you touch the like get to the engine stuff, it's just like foreign. So like you have specific people to kind of handle that. So good on you that you're doing the other stuff and leave the engine stuff to people who probably have way more knowledge than I could ever come up with for engine stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like your mom's saying when you started racing that somebody posted on the Snap Map. Let's see. Let's see. On the Snap Map, just starting racing, going so slow. Who posted on their Snap Map that you were going so slow? Because apparently it lit a fire under your butt.
Oh yeah, there's that snap map thing where you can see like random people's stories.
Yep.
Um, someone I like scrolled into Southwest Speedway and some random person like scrolled in on my car because I was going like you remember me in that gray car like how slow I was.
Oh, yep. I do remember the gray car.
Yeah, someone was like zooming in on me like going real slow. Yeah, that was kind of depressing.
Hey, we all got to start somewhere. I mean, how old were you when you started the Legends?
12, I think.
I mean, not every 12-year-old is going to come out like guns a-blazing, going full song into turn one. So, I mean,
Yeah, I
gotta get
also didn't
laps
have
too.
like any go kart experience, so that kind of was tough on me.
Right. Yeah, every little bit of experience helps too. Uh-oh. We have an interesting question coming from Jim Heaton asking about prom last weekend. I'm assuming there's a story or something behind this.
Well, we were like walking out for Grand March, and we knocked the stage over behind us. So that was very embarrassing.
I mean, it's one way to make an impression and make it something that people will remember you by.
Yeah,
May not be the most positive, but hey, it's a story that you can laugh about later on.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think I'll let you go here, Dane. I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to chat with us and get to know you a little bit. Hopefully, maybe see you this upcoming weekend to start things off. I assume Dakota Speedway is your first race of the year if they open up.
Yeah.
And how close are you? I know we talked off camera a little bit, but how close are you to race ready?
Well, Legends all ready to go, and just a couple things on the mod that have to be touched up, and everything should be ready.
Excellent. Well, folks, if you are out at the tracks across the state of North Dakota and you see the 07, be sure to stop by in the pits and say hi and cheer for him as you see him go towards the front. And hopefully we'll see him in victory lane quite a few times this year. And thank you once again, Dayton, and thank you to everyone tuning in, including Maggie Kopp checking in at the last minute. So thanks, everyone, for joining us for another Wednesday Night Live, and we'll see you next week and hopefully at a racetrack this weekend, too. Thanks again, Dayton.
Yep, thank you.